Hi. I'm just going to wait a little bit till a few people come on. So I'm going to start with whoever's here. So I want to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Dania Brewer. I am a registered dietitian and nutritionist. I am based in Miami, Florida, and I usually see clients here in the office, and I also see clients online via telehealth. So if you're ever interested, you can always, if you're out of state, you can always reach out and we can talk. So today we're going to focus mostly on the nutrition part of the holidays. So because I am a dietitian, so I'm going to talk a lot about eating, and I'm going to give you a lot of tips on how to manage situations around the holidays. So let's start with holidays that are coming, right? So there is Hanukkah coming in the next week, and there are a lot of parties when it comes to the holidays overall. People, depending on where they work, they have different holiday parties. And there's going to be a lot of food involved in these parties, right? There's probably going to be dinners and meals, and people may be going to bars for holiday parties for the offices. But I want to focus more on the meals that we're going to have during Hanukkah, right? A lot of people celebrate it by doing meals with their families or friends or whoever they have around. Other people do it on their own, which is great also. And I want to focus on the beauty of the holiday also, not only about the food. So it's important that, yes, it is a holiday, and yes, it does have a lot of food involved, a lot of latkes and sufganiyot and, right, all this amazing food. But it's not only about that. There's so much more than that. There's family, there's being around loved ones, there's tradition, there's beauty, right? The beauty of the light, and thinking about the miracle of what happened and why we're celebrating it. And that's also a really important thing that we should be focusing on, and not only the food. That being said, I understand that there is a lot of stress around these times as well, right? A lot of people that are dealing with different things, like some people that have an eating disorder, right? They could be feeling a lot of stress and anxiety about going into a holiday meal. Or other people that, let's say, that have fertility issues, and they've been working so hard on their diet to make sure they're eating in order to get pregnant, right? And then they go to these parties, and there's all this food that they may not be consuming all the time because they have a specific goal. Or maybe there's someone that has PCOS and is managing their blood sugar, and there's nothing but carbs around the table, and they don't know what to do. So it's important really to acknowledge that, and to make sure that we know that there's always something we can do. And I'm going to give you a lot of tips. And knowing that the stress is normal and is real is important, right? Acknowledging that is important for you to make sure that you don't go into the holiday party or the meal feeling this anxiety and stress. And preparing yourself is going to be important. And we also know that there's always that aunt or that cousin that always has a comment on, you look great, or you gained a few pounds, or the typical, are you sure you want to eat all of that food, right? And it's important to understand that that's mostly their issue, and you shouldn't take it personally. And it is mostly a projection of how they feel about themselves rather than what they really think of you. So it's really important to acknowledge that. So why don't we jump over to actual tips and game plan for holidays and holiday parties and holiday meals. So the number one thing I always tell my patients before these types of meals is we need to make a plan. What does that mean? Yes, we know we're going to go to a dinner where there's going to be a lot of food, and it's going Am I here? Yeah, okay. And it's going to be very abundant. But that doesn't mean that we need to save all of our calories for that meal. Meaning, you should not be skipping any meals throughout the day because you're going to eat so much more during the night. On the contrary, you should have your typical breakfast, your typical lunch, maybe have a snack even, so you don't go to the party starving. So what happens when you're starving and you go to a party where there's a lot of food? It is very likely that you will binge on whatever you see. Why? Because your blood sugar is probably low and you are starving. And what will happen is that you'll have a lot of cravings because your blood sugar is low. So you are going to want to eat everything and anything around you. So it's very, very important that you have meals that are satiating, a lot of protein, high fiber carbs, vegetables, fruit, right? Focus on the foods that you would regularly eat and don't skip any of those meals to save up for whatever you're gonna eat later during the night. That's really, really important. Number 2 is that you should be drinking a lot of fluids throughout the day and throughout the week, especially if you have a lot of events. If you're eating out more often than you're used to, you should be drinking a lot more water. One of the reasons is that you're going to probably retain a lot of fluid because you're going to be eating out where the sodium content of the food you're consuming is going to be higher. So you want to make sure you're hydrating yourself very, very well, and then making sure that you're not very thirsty throughout the day. Sometimes people can confuse thirst with hunger. And when you're feeling very, very thirsty and you're not drinking, your brain may think that you're actually hungry. So you may overeat because you're thirsty instead of just drinking water and then tapping in, right? How am I actually feeling? I drank water, not thirsty. How am I feeling? Am I hungry? Am I not hungry? What am I craving, right? But if you didn't eat throughout the day and you're not drinking enough water, it's very difficult to tap into those hunger and fullness signals, and to actually be mindful and listening to your body is going to be very, very difficult. Another reason why I want you to drink plenty of fluids is because, as I said, the sodium content. But if you're also consuming alcohol, you are going to be very dehydrated as well. So water is going to be very, very important. Something that I love to tell my patients is that buy a water bottle that you love. Now there's so many different ones, the trendy Stanley cups, or I love my Owala. It's amazing. It's straw and also you can sip on it. So it's my favorite of all time. Keep it next to you. I always have my water bottle on my desk at my office because it's not very likely that if I'm thirsty and I'm working and I have a million things to do and I'm back to back with patients that I'm going to go downstairs and buy a bottle of water or go out to the cooler and get a water bottle. Probably not very likely because I'm so busy. But if you have your water bottle with you, next to you, you're going to be a lot more likely to actually drink that water. So buy your favorite water bottle. Make sure, it's an investment in your health. Have it with you and drink up. Number 3 is that I want you to focus on movement and mindful movement, right? It's very important that you continue doing the exercise that you usually do. Not because it's the holidays and some people have vacation that you should throw it all away and be like, okay, no more exercise until I come back from my vacation or after after we finish the holidays. So someone is asking, I'm going to continue with this, but I want to answer you. So what type of water is better? So that's a very good question. Personally, I'm a little picky with my water because I work with a lot of people with fertility issues, and we know that there are endocrine disruptors in some types of water. So I always recommend do not drink from plastic water bottles. Plastic can leach into the water, especially if it's around heat, and that can actually there can be microplastics in your water, in the water that you're drinking, and that is not great for our endocrine system, so for our hormone balance. And then there's a lot of other things that can cause issues with. So when it comes to water, I try and I recommend filtered water in a water bottle is going to be your best bet. If you don't have filtered water where you are and you only have bottled water and you forgot your water bottle, I'm not going to tell you, I'd rather you don't drink than drink from a plastic bottle. I'd rather you drink your water. Drink your water no matter what, but try to drink filtered water from a bottle that has no plastic most of the time. So that's actually a good question. So short, filtered. Okay, so I was talking about movement. So I want to make sure that you are moving and you are staying consistent with your exercise routine. Not because it's a holiday, it means that you should stop exercising completely. On the contrary, you want to exercise because that can also relieve some anxiety or depression feelings or anxiety coming up or leading up to these meals. So I want to make sure that you are doing this. And yes, water from the sink and biofilter. That's what I do. I have an AquaTrue. It's great. I love my AquaTrue. It is filtering water through a process called reverse osmosis. Now, it's a little pricey, so not everyone can afford it and not everyone wants to put that money into a filtration system. So a filter would be better than no filter. So I would recommend that for sure. But the gold standard for filtered water would be a reverse osmosis filter if you can find one. And when it comes to exercise, hydration is going to be very, very important as well. So make sure that if you're exercising, you are drinking and replenishing those fluids all the time. Also, make it enjoyable. Find something that you love and stick to it. Because if you're doing something that you don't love, it's very, very difficult that you're actually going to keep it or maintain it. So make sure you're doing something that feels good to you. Also, you can go with your family or with your friends or sign up for an exercise class with your cousin or your brother or your sister or your close friend. And that can help you not only feel motivated to actually go, but you can feel a little bit of companionship and that can make you feel better and relieve your anxiety as well. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is the actual dinner, right? When you're actually there at the meal, what do you do? So I always recommend you see what's available. If there's protein and vegetables, start and enjoy that. If there's whole grains, also. Build your plate similarly to how you would build it any other day or any other dinner, meaning if you're usually eating proteins and healthy fats and high fiber carbohydrates and a lot of vegetables, serve yourself that on your plate. And also save room for the things that you really want to eat. Let's say that there are latkes and there's smoked salmon and that's something that you really, really want with sour cream or with applesauce. And you've been looking forward to this because it's Hanukkah and that's what you really like and it's part of your tradition. Of course, you're going to enjoy that food. And please make sure you save room on your plate for that. But make sure it's not the only thing that you're eating. Fill yourself up with also proteins. If there's smoked salmon, go for smoked salmon. If there's some vegetables or crudité and dip, or are there any salads available? Do you have any cheese available? Right? Try and eat a little bit of protein with your meal so you don't overdo it with the donuts and the pastries and the cookies and all the other things. That being said, It's Hanukkah, right? Of course you're going to enjoy yourself. Of course you're going to have a jelly-filled donut that you've been looking forward to since last Hanukkah or since the last time you had it, right? It's part of the tradition of Hanukkah. You are going to enjoy it. And as a dietitian, I would never tell you you're not going to consume any sweets, right? No, that's very restrictive. And I want you to come in a place of abundance, not of restriction. It's very important, especially if you're dealing with an eating disorder, right? Around those times, you should be enjoying these foods and taking away the focus of this is all about food to this is all about tradition. This is part of Hanukkah. This is part of my tradition. I should be enjoying my tradition. Something else that I can recommend to some patients, depending of course on what you're coming in for, but if you're coming in for something like fertility issues or diabetes or any other chronic health condition, why don't you make sure you have what you want to eat? Meaning, not saying that you're not going to eat what is provided, but you can offer to make something for your host. You can offer, why don't I make a salad for you? Why don't I make my favorite vegetable recipe? Why don't I make a protein? Or why don't I come over and help you cook and we can make something together? That can also really help. And that way you'll make sure that you have at least one component that you wanted to have on your plate. I'm not saying that that's all that you should be eating. It's maybe one of the components on your plate could be that thing that you brought. The last thing I wanted to touch on was alcohol. So alcohol is abundant during holiday seasons. It's abundant at parties and dinner parties. And we need to make sure that we're mindful with alcohol consumption. Alcohol can be something that can trigger some people and trigger some emotions in some people. So we want to be mindful of that. But we also want to understand that alcohol has no nutritional value whatsoever. It does have calories, but it has no nutritional value. As a dietitian, I understand that, but I also understand that we want to enjoy a cocktail here and there, right? Or a glass of wine here and there, and that's okay. Just be mindful of how much you're drinking. Are you drinking on an empty stomach? What are you drinking? Right? Why are you drinking? Are you drinking because you need it to feel good? Are you drinking because you feel like if you don't, you'll have more anxiety? Do you feel like you need it because there's people you really don't want to talk to? So ask yourself, why am I drinking? Very, very important. And then understand that you need to make sure you eat something before you're having alcoholic beverages. Do not drink on an empty stomach. That's never a good idea. What happens when we drink on an empty stomach? When we drink on an empty stomach, our blood sugar can plummet and can go very, very low. And what that will cause is a process. I'm not going to get too sciencey here, but it's called gluconeogenesis. And it makes sure that our blood sugar stays stable, meaning your body won't increase sugar production. Now, that can cause a lot of cravings. Those highs and lows in blood sugar that we can get with alcohol can increase cravings for sweets and carbs and other foods that are not bad foods. There are no good or bad foods, but they're foods that we don't want to consume in excess, or the only thing that we consume, if that makes sense. So I want to make sure that you're not drinking on an empty stomach, to make sure that you can actually not only tolerate the alcohol a little bit better, but you don't have those drops in blood sugar, and that you're actually feeling pretty stable, and you have your meal, and you do have your carbs, and of course your donut, which there's nothing wrong with it, but making sure that why you're eating it is not because you overdrank, if that makes sense. So I want to make sure that we talk about something related to the holiday rather than only food, and understanding that food Yes, it is part of the holidays. It is part of events, but it's not everything. There's so much more to these events than just the food, right? There's focusing on the actual Chag, right? The actual event, the actual lighting of the candles and the beauty of it, and understanding the why, right? Why are we lighting the candles? Because there was a miracle, and focusing more on that than, oh my God, I have this party and there's going to be all this food, and just that can generate so much anxiety. If we focus more on, we're there to enjoy with family, we're there to make connections and connect with our loved ones, and we're there because we want to celebrate. We want to celebrate the holiday and Judaism, or you want to celebrate with your coworkers to the holiday party that you're going to, right? It's very important that we don't make it all about the food, because it's not all about the food. And another thing is that one meal or even 2 meals is not going to make or break your health. One meal is not going to throw away everything that you work so hard on. It's not. One meal is not going to, throw everything out the drain, what you did all year and what you've been working so hard on. No, not at all. On the contrary, it's going to help you enjoy. It's going to help you connect. And that's what I really want you to focus on. Connect with your loved ones. Connect with the people that surround you. Enjoy yourself. Don't think only about the food or calories or carbs or alcohol, right? No, enjoy what you're eating. Savor it. Enjoy it. Think about why you're eating it. Am I enjoying it? How hungry am I? Do I want seconds? Am I full, right? Tap into yourself also. It's really, really important that you do. How am I feeling in terms of anxiety? Am I eating too much because I'm anxious at this moment, because I'm seeing someone that I haven't seen in so long? All those things are important to know. And for me, the most important thing is that I want you to relax. When you relax, you're able to enjoy. Come with a plan. Don't skip meals. Drink plenty of water. Enjoy yourself. Have that donut. Have that latkes. Have that glass of wine. And the next day, it's really important that you move on. And you start like you usually start. You have your regular breakfast. You're not going to skip breakfast because you had a large meal. That's really, really important. And that's something else that we should implement as part of making a plan. We are not skipping meals because we ate a little bit more at dinner. So with that, those are my tips when it comes to nutrition and making sure that you're able to enjoy your holiday and not obsess over the food that you're going to consume. So if there are any questions, please let me know. I am going to put my Instagram handle here, my personal, so you have it. And if you have more questions, you can always reach out to my Instagram, to my DMs. Balanced Nutrition by Dania is my company, and that's my Instagram. Please feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to talk to any of you, answer questions, or even just chat about whatever you want to chat. And I'm hoping to meet with you soon. If there are no other questions, I will head out. But it was so nice talking to everyone. And enjoy your Hanukkah. Have fun. Happy Hanukkah. And thank you. Thank you. And thank you for joining. Have a great holiday. Bye.